Friends, Coco is coming to Disney California Adventure, and many fans are worried that this means no more parades for a ride that's too short to matter or make a difference. Most fans keep saying, why not wait and build it as part of Disneyland Forward when DCA expands over Disneyland Drive? These are the questions a lot of Disney Parks fans have been asking, but what if they're wrong? Brickey here. Today we're going to look at what Disney really showed us and the details that most fans didn't pick up on. And by the end of this video, I think we'll have a very different theory where this attraction is actually going, how long it'll actually be, and why parades are absolutely not going away. Friends, make sure you subscribe if you love studying Disneyland's past so we can better predict its future. What do you say? Let's get this street party started. It's easy for me to see why Disney Parks fans are panicking. We know Disney is planning a Coco boat ride in the Pixar Pier area, and the concept art places it just to the right of the Incredicoaster's tracks. So if that's true, then it looks like the ride would go right on top of the parade gate. The same one Disney uses to bring floats in and out of the park. And it's quite simple, right? No gates, no parades. But this theory leaves out one really important thing. Friends, Disney needs parades more than the fans do. Let me explain. You see, parades aren't just tradition, they're a business strategy. They create emotional moments that unite the park and celebrate themes and annual festivals. They create emotional moments, and emotional moments equal emotional spending. They also entertain thousands of guests all at once, instantly relieving ride wait times. And take seasonal parades like Halloween's Oogie Boogie Bash, it lets Disneyland sell an additional 30 extra nights a year. That's millions in added revenue, and that's adding over 30 extra days to the traditional 365 ticket sale calendar. So no, parades aren't going anywhere, but some things definitely will need to change, because right now there is a major problem that Disney will have to address: the backstage access point from Disneyland Drive. It's currently too tight, too limited, and not designed to share space with a major new attraction. And this is where things will get really complicated, and what I'm here for. So let's go back to the concept art that was just released and how everyone thinks they have this figured out. It's simple. They see the Incredicoaster in the background and assume the ride is going right at the Pixar parade gate. But that location doesn't actually match what Disney showed us, because if you really study it, the scale is wrong and the spacing is off. There's no way to fit everything shown in the concept artwork and still maintain guest flow or operations. This is way too small of a space for what we were shown, because I believe this is the thing that most people miss. This isn't just a ride entrance, it's a mini land entrance. There's a grand archway, food stands, retail, and entertainment. Crowds of guests, all sitting in the space where currently a set of doors stand. And there are way too many trees for this little nook of the backstage corner. The left side of the concept artwork shows a much larger space than what really exists. It's not big enough to support any of this. So either Disney released inaccurate concept artwork, which is possible, or this attraction is going in a very different location than what fans think. So of course I have broken down two different theories. Let's start with the north theory. Let's just say that everyone is looking too far south. What if the Coco attraction is actually going north into what is currently Paradise Gardens Park? Let's look at the concept artwork again. On the left side, there's a thick line of trees that could match the space around Boardwalk Pizza and Pasta. There's also, right beyond the grand entryway, a mission-style tower. This tower alone indicates a serious amount of depth and space. And to the right, you'll see crowds food stands, and even what looks to be an indication of entertainment. And that is all possibly tucked right where Paradise Gardens exists today. So picture this, the Coco Archway doesn't sit at the parade gate at all. It sits further north, replacing the current boardwalk pizza location and dining area, and transforming Paradise Gardens into a full Mexican themed mini-land. Friends, this would change everything. It gives the area room to breathe for dining, entertainment, and public space. It's the kind of atmosphere a major IP deserves, and it also is the type of space that Southern California's cultural diversity deserves. And here's the best part of it being a little bit to the north. The parade path and the backstage road could stay exactly where they are. There will be some edits, but the footprint can stay largely the same. And guests wouldn't even notice they were crossing over the top of them, because they'd be walking on a bridge hidden inside a new themed environment. Much like downtown Disney takes guests over service roads, underground structures, and Disneyland Drive. The bridge could connect Coco's new mini land and front facade to where the actual attraction lives over on the Pixar Pier, allowing guests to load on top while operations continue underneath. Let's stop and think about it for just a moment. If this area that really means nothing to anyone was transformed over into a Mexican themed land, all the great food, all the great customs, now you're going to plant another seed in your mind. What if they use the Avatar trick and everything through here has a secret tint to it, where at night when the black lights go on, parts of it transform over into a Day of the Dead celebration, making all of this the grand entryway to an attraction that sits behind the Incredicoaster. It makes this a monumental move for DCA. Not only giving fans another great attraction, but so many different experiences, and most importantly, a way for many friends of Southern California to celebrate their cultural heritage. Friends, it is a win-win from every single direction, and most importantly because parades never go away. That part I love. So if all of this over here is the trees and the actual grand entryway is over here, one simple shift to the north and suddenly everything fits. Or does it? Because I have option number 2. Because while the north layout checks off a lot of boxes, there are a couple of major problems for Disneyland to solve. And when studying the concept artwork very close, the ride might not be heading north at all. It might actually be going in the opposite direction. Welcome to the South theory, because maybe we've been looking in the wrong direction entirely. Because friends, what if the attraction is actually behind the Incredicoaster on its southeast side, in part of the park that currently is entirely backstage? Because from this angle, things start to look very different. And you'll also notice that the track doesn't show multi-levels. It only shows one. First, you would enter the new land somewhere in this area over here, walking down the existing parade path, past the emotional whirlwind, and into a whole new area, or shall I say a whole new world? See, the concept artwork would no longer be parallel to the northern edge of the Incredicoaster. It would actually sit behind it in a hidden corner waiting to be discovered. And suddenly, the long corridor in the artwork is with the path and the trees. It isn't a queue or a plaza, it's the walkway into the land itself. Here's where this theory makes a lot of sense. There's already a long, narrow access road running along the southeast backstage zone. Disney could easily repurpose it, building a bridge or elevated pathway for guests to walk on while keeping parade floats and service vehicles moving underneath. This dual approach would let the park maintain daily operations while providing guests a seamless transition into the new attraction. But even more interesting, that backstage area between the coaster and the service road and the southeast fence line is actually huge, giving Disney way more space than what most guests have imagined, which means a way bigger experience than what you might be anticipating. Just how much space are we actually talking about? If you measure from the edge of Toy Story Midway Mania to the current parade gate and the surrounding backstage zones, but not including the service road that can't go away, you're looking at over 150,000 square feet. That means, friends, back behind these gates, there is more square footage than the entire It's a Small World show building and courtyard and green spaces out front combined. Small World and all of its facade could fit right behind these gates. That means the land is capable of holding a 15-minute long attraction. Now, I'm not saying they'll give it all of that space, but that's the maximum capabilities. So now, walk through that concept artwork again with that footprint, that number of square footage in mind. Suddenly, it doesn't feel like a quick add-on, it starts to feel like a fully thought out mini-land. Or what we were promised at the very beginning of the Pixar Pier, neighborhoods. Coco might be the first IP to actually get its own neighborhood. I mean, I know they say The Incredibles have a neighborhood, but it just feels like an extended queue area with some seriously good cookies. Now, there are 3 major buildings that exist back here today. And around all of those buildings, a patchwork of trailers, storage, fencing, and a lot of empty pavement. Disney could easily restructure this zone, clearing some of it, building over parts of it, and weaving the guest space across multiple levels. As long as they keep a 16-foot clearance on the bottom level, they're good to do anything they want above. And here's where it gets very convenient, because Pixar Pier already sits raised above the natural ground level, giving Disney the vertical flexibility to build over operations instead of removing them entirely. And this is when you start to realize the Coco expansion might not be squeezing into Pixar Pier, it might actually be breaking out. The southeast option places everything in this area to be the size of It's a Small World, but the north option only places the attraction back in this area and the neighborhood over in Paradise Gardens. And I think both of these options easily beat most fans' expectations, at least from reading all the comments on this channel and my second channel, the Brickey vlog. Making me think Disney may be playing it cool and not overplaying their hand, and try to surprise you with more than disappoint you with less. Talking to you, Avengers Campus. But either way, this is the most important takeaway. Both of these design theories mean that parades stay at DCA, proving this isn't just a quick fix. It is actually a carefully layered expansion with multi-level infrastructure, repurposed operational space, and an entirely new entrance to a new world. And this kind of investment, it's not about today's park, it's about tomorrow's. Because even though this Coco attraction was announced separately from Disneyland Forward, its pattern does fit perfectly. It expands unused backstage zones, it builds upward instead of outward, and it layers multiple functions into a single footprint. It's everything Disneyland Forward has to be, just starting a little sooner than expected. So maybe Coco isn't separate from Disneyland Forward. Maybe it's the very first domino. If that's true, then the real question isn't where the ride goes, it's what gets built next. Friends, if you have theories, I want to hear them. Drop a comment on your take on where you think Coco is going, or any questions you may have. And this week on my second channel, the Brickey Vlog, I will spend an hour answering as many questions as possible in the order that they were left on today's video. And if you have questions that you need the answers to right now, make sure you check out my Disneyland Forward playlist. I've got nearly 30 videos that go deeper into the expansion plans, and even some that Disney hasn't fully revealed yet. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you.